Namaste everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Live to Shunya talk show. And as we all know that it is time for the studying of the Agamas. And before that, we'll be going to our practice of Shunya, doing our 9 to 0. Okay, let's start.
Before starting practice, please sit comfortably, keep your back straight, and keep your hands relaxed in any mudra. Remember one breath in and one breath out is one count. While reverse counting, gently focus on your natural breath. Do not force your breath. At the sound of the bell, begin your practice. Start.
Okay, so we are doing the Ekotara Agama, which is in the Agamas as it is. This has been translated into Chinese by the Gautama Sangadeva, Tripitaka of Kapisha, which is now Kashmir, and he's from the Eastern Jin dynasty, translated from Chinese to English by Sift Sutra Translations Department under the guidance of Dhyanacharya Nagajiva, that took Dr. Lim Siojin. Volume 28, Chapter 36, and we will go on to the Shravana Dharma, listening to the Dharma. 36.5. We'll be continuing from point 50, so we can go ahead. So this sutra we have been continuing from, like we did it till point 49. So from this we'll continue from the point 50 from today, as we were seeing that how the Shakradevana Indra was there, and now the Naga Rajas grew even stronger. There were these two Naga Rajas, if you all remember, if you have seen the past episode. If not, then make sure that before continuing from this one, you go back and you listen to the one which we did in the last week. Okay, I'll continue. The Naga Rajas grew even more enraged and rained down massive high mountains upon the palace halls. At that moment, Modgalyana transformed these into various kinds of food and drink. The Nagaraja's anger flared up even more intensely, and they rained down many swords. Modgalyana transformed these into exquisite robes and garments. Then the Nagarajas, doubling their anger, rained down large grains of sand and gravel upon Prasannajit's palace. Before they touched the earth, they were transformed into seven treasures. Yeah. When Mahar When Maharaja Prasenajit saw the various treasures raining into the palace halls, he was filled with boundless joy and thought, in all of Jambudvipa, there is no more there is no one more virtuous than I, except for Tathagata. Because of this, a single stalk of rice in my home yields a whole bushel of grain, which I eat with sweet sugarcane juice. And now treasures rain upon my palace. Perhaps I am to become a Chakravartin Samrat. Then Maharaja Prasenajit led his court ladies to gather and collect the seven treasures. The two Nagarajas said to each other, "What is the meaning of this? We came here intending to harm Maharaja Prasenajit, yet such transformations have occurred. We have exhausted all our power today, yet we cannot harm even a hair of the Raja's body. Then the Nagaraja saw Mahamudgalyana sitting in the cross-legged posture above the palace halls, with his body and mind upright and unwavering. Seeing this, they thought, this must surely be the work of Mahamudgalyana. Having seen Modgalyana, the two Nagarajas withdrew and departed. When Modgalyana saw the Nagas had gone, he withdrew his supernormal power and returned to the palace place of the Bhagwan, prostrated at his feet and sat to one side. At that time, Maharaja Prasannaji thought to himself, I should not be the first to eat these various foods. I ought to offer them to the Tathagata first and only then eat them myself. Then Maharaja Prasannajit loaded a chariot with the precious treasures and various foods, went to the place of Bhagwan and said, yesterday the heavens rained down these seven treasures and this food. I only wish to for you to accept them. At that time, Mahamodgalyana was standing not far from the Tathagata. The Buddha said to the Raja, you should take these seven treasures and food and give them to Mahamodgalyana. This is because, thanks to the kindness of Modgalyana, you have been granted a second life in this land of the noble and wise. Maharaja Prasanajit addressed the Buddha. By what cause and condition is it said that I have been granted a second life? The Bhagwan replied, did you not come to my place this morning wishing to hear the Dharma? At that time there were two others who had also come to hear the Dharma. You had this thought, in this realm, I am the most noble and honored, revered by all. From where have these two come? That they did not rise to welcome me. The Raja said to the Buddha, it is truly so, Bhagwan. The Bhagwan explained, those two were not humans but Nagarajas Nanda and Upananda. They knew your thoughts and said to each other, we have committed no fault against this Raja of men. Yet why does he seek to harm us? We should promptly destroy his entire realm. I, I immediately knew what was in the hearts of the Nagarajas and instructed Modgalyana, go now to save Maharaja Prasenajit lest he be harmed by the Nagas. He followed my instructions and remaining invisible above the palace, he performed those transformations. When the Nagarajas, full of dvesha, anger, rained sand and gravel upon the palace before it touched the ground, he transformed it into seven treasures, clothing and food. Because of this, Maharaja, you have been granted a second life today. Then Maharaja Prasenajit was filled with terror and his hair stood on end. He knelt and crawled forward to the Tathagata and said, I only wish for the Bhagwan's great compassion as my life has been spared. He then prostrated at the feet of Modgalyana, paying respect with his head. By the grace of the Venerable One, my life has been saved. Then the Raja spoke this Gatha. Only the Venerable One possesses life without end, protecting my life through the long night, delivering me from suffering and distress. By the Venerable's grace, I have escaped disaster. Then Maharaja Prasanajit scattered divine fragrant flowers over the Tathagata and said, I now offer these seven treasures to the triple gem. I only wish for them to be accepted. He prostrated at the feet of the Buddha, circumambulated him three times and departed. Then the Bhagwan thought, many of the fourfold assembly have become lazy and negligent in listening to the Dharma. They do not seek the upaya, expedient means, to realize the truth for themselves, nor do they seek to attain what has not been attained or gain what has not been gained. I should now cause the fourfold assembly to thirst for the Dharma. Then the Bhagwan, without informing the assembly or taking an attendant, in the time it takes to bend or extend one's arm, vanished from Jetavana and went to the Traya Trimsa heaven. Then Shakra Devanam saw the Bhagwan coming from afar. Leading the assembly of Devas, he went forward to welcome the Bhagwan, prostrated at his feet, and invited him to take a seat, saying, "Welcome, Bhagwan. It has been a long time since we last had the honor of seeing you." Then the Bhagwan thought, "I shall now use my supernormal power to conceal my form, so that people will not know where I am." Then the Bhagwan further thought, "In this Trayatrimsa heaven, I shall now manifest a body that is immensely vast." At that time, in the hall of good dharma, in the heavens, there was a golden stone seat one distance in length and breadth. The Bhagwan sat upon this stone in the cross-legged posture, his presence filling the entire seat. Then the mother of the Tathagata Maya, leading a host of heavenly maidens, approached the place of the Bhagwan. She prostrated with her head at his feet and sat to one side, saying, "It has been so long since I last attended to you. To have you arrive here now is truly a great blessing. I have thirsted with longing to see you, and only today has the Buddha finally come." After Maya had prostrated and taken her seat, Shakra Devana Mindra also paid respect at the feet of the Tathagata and sat to one side. All the Devas of the Trayatrimsa heaven likewise prostrated and sat. At that time, the assembly of the Devas saw that the presence of the Tathagata increased the strength of the heavenly host and diminished the power of the Asuras. Then the Bhagwan gradually taught the assembly of Devas the sublime discourse. This discourse consisted of the discourse on dana, giving, the discourse on shila, morality, and the discourse on the swarga, heavens. He spoke on the perception of the impurity of sensual desires, the foulness of lust, and the bliss of renunciation. When the Bhagwan saw that the minds of the gathered assembly and the Devas were open and ready to understand, he taught them the teaching consistently taught by all Buddhas: Dukkha, suffering, Samudaya, its origin, Nirodha, its cessation, and Marga, the path. He explained these to all the Devas. While still in their seats, the dust and impurities were removed from them, and they attained the Vimala Chakshu, pure eye of the Dharma. Furthermore, 18 billion heavenly maidens realized the path, and the 36,000 Devas attained the pure eye of the Dharma. Then the mother of the Tathagata rose from her seat, prostrated at the feet of the Tathagata, and returned to her palace. Then Shakra Devanam Indra addressed the Buddha. "With what food should I serve the Tathagata? Should I use human food or spontaneous food of the heavens?" The Bhagwan replied, "You should serve the Tathagata with human food. This is because I was born in the human realm, grew up in the human realm, and attained Buddhahood in the human realm." Shakradevana Indra said, "So be it, Bhagwan." He then asked further, "Should I follow the timing of the heavens or the timing of the human realm?" The Bhagwan replied, "Use the timing of the human realm." He replied, "So be it, Bhagwan." Then Devanam Indra used human food and followed human timing to serve the meal to the Tathagata. At that time, the Devas of the Trayatrimsa each said to one another, "We see the Tathagata taking his meal throughout the entire day." Then the Bhagwan thought, "I should now enter a samadhi, meditative concentration, such that if I wish the Devas to approach, they approach, and if I wish them to withdraw, they withdraw." Entering this samadhi, he caused the Devas to come and go as was appropriate. Meanwhile, the fourfold assembly in the human realm had not seen the Tathagata for a long time. They went to Ananda and asked, "Where is the Tathagata now? We thirst with longing to see him." Ananda replied, "I also do not know where the Tathagata is." Then the Maharaja Prasanajit and Maharaja Udayana came to Ananda and asked, "Where exactly is the Tathagata today?" Ananda replied, "Maharaja, I too do not know where the Tathagata is." The two Rajas, longing to see the Tathagata, fell ill from their distress. At that time, the ministers went to Maharaja Udayana and asked, "What is causing your illness?" The Raja replied, "I have become ill through grief and worry." The ministers asked, "How has grief and worry made you ill?" The Raja replied, "It is because I cannot see the Tathagata. If I do not see the Tathagata, I shall surely die." Then the ministers thought, what expedient means can we use to prevent Maharaja Udayana from dying? We should create an image of the Tathagata. They said to the Raja, we wish to create an image of the Buddha which we can then reverse, serve, and prostrate before. Hearing these words, the Raja was filled with boundless joy and said to his ministers, excellent, what you have proposed is most sublime. The ministers asked the Raja, with what precious materials should we create the image of the Tathagata? Then the Raja commanded the most skilled artisans within his realm, saying, I now wish to have an image made. Artisans replied, it shall be done, Maharaja. Then Maharaja Udayana used Go Shirsha, Chandana, ox head, sandalwood to create an image of the Tathagata 5 feet in height. Okay, so as you see, the whole sutra is moving around the story where it began from these Shakradevanam Indra, and where the Tathagata's mother wanting to hear the dharma from him, and it moves on to the part where two of the Nagarajas you see coming into the picture, and then they going to the assembly where Buddha was there, and then even the King Prasenajit had come and had this thought that these two did not rise for me, and then they, without even knowing who they are and what they are, he was concerned whether they gave respect to him or not. But from his end, that respect was not there because the initial thought was to just kill them. But anyways, we see the story then moving on with Buddha telling Mahamudgalyana to protect him. Then the king later realizing that he was protected because of so and so reasons, and then Buddha saw that this fourfold assembly has become lazy, and they have not they don't have that excitement for hearing the dharma. So then Buddha decides to just without telling anyone, he just goes to the heaven. There he is having this conversation with the Shakradevanam Indra, and then we are seeing the story evolve again and again. Now everyone is worried. And one more thing, that the Buddha never told anyone to build a statue or anything, but the king Udayana was feeling sick because of grief and sorrow, and then he just, because of that grief and sorrow, he's not feeling well, and because he's not able to keep well, people suggest him that you may build a statue of the Buddha or an image. Then they are going with the sandalwood and everything. So this will continue from again next weekend. The sutra has more till it, I think so, till 150 is there. We have completed till 80 or so. So thank you so much for joining in today, and that was it for the session. Namaste and bye.